All right, let's get right into and cut to the chase. The Ravens backed out of the Max Crosby trade based on some sort of medical evaluation. In return, the Ravens then signs Trey Hendrickson, still remains their 2 first-round picks. And that was probably the biggest story talking about free agency, other than the Ravens losing out to Tyler Linderbaum, who scores an $81 million contract with the Las Vegas Raiders. Free agency's been crazy. We got a lot to talk about. So I'm Josh Kirby. This is the Fourth and Forever podcast, and let's get into it.
That's a W.
So, like I said, free agency going crazy. We talked about the Ravens deal, but let me get to some other things that came up, and then we're going to go backtrack and recap some of the moves that previous teams I talked about within divisions that I've already discussed, and discuss kind of some moves they've made. First and foremost, what does this deal mean for the Ravens? Now that they've moved on from Max Crosby, most likely Max Crosby is going to stay a Raider at least another season. So they made a lot of big moves. They made a lot of big transactions. We'll talk more about them later in the offseason, but right now what this means for the Ravens is you get a star pass rusher in Trey Hendrickson, who's had back-to-back 17-sack seasons. Pretty sure when he played 17 games, he did not play every game last season, but he was still a vital part of that defense when he did play. We signed him on a 4-year contract, so we got him for 4 years. We can start have a heftiness to the contract early or late, and however we want to do it. We still got the Lamar extension in the works, but we also retained our first round picks of this year and next year, which is huge for us because now with this move, we don't have to worry about a pass rusher. We can either get a guard, a tackle, or who I am projected for us to pick, and I think a lot of other people are as well. It's Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon, who I think would be a transformational member of this offense. We can throw him out in the slot. He can go out wide. He can play the true tight end position. You can really line him up all over the offense and get a good production around him. I think we just add another great weapon to an offense that I think needs an extra little juice. I mean, we got Henry, we got Flowers. Andrews is getting up in age. Bateman had a breakout season 2 years ago, but last year seemed hidden. If we bring D-Hop back or whoever we bring back as that fourth receiver, and then hopefully we'll break open Tez Walker and we can really explode this offense. But we're going to have to find a good backup for Derrick Henry as well, with Keith Mitchell on his way out. And the truth is, no Patrick Ricard. Do you really want to trust Justice Hill to be the backup running back all season? And Ali is another great running back in the room, but he's a better special teams guy than putting him in the backfield to make plays. Other big news, Kyler Murray was released by the Arizona Cardinals and signed with the Minnesota Vikings. So what does that mean for Minnesota and Kyler? First and foremost, I think this means big things for Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's been a quarterback that has all the potential in the world to be great and has yet to put all of it together in a consistent full season. Kyler Murray is quick. He's accurate. He can throw the ball a lot, far. I think he has one of the underrated arms in the league. But a lot of his stats have not backed it up. As in, he's only played a complete season 3 times in his career, with last season only playing 5 games and 2 years and almost 3 years ago only playing 8 games. So he's had some injuries, hit his overall has hit his career. He's never surpassed more than 26 touchdowns passing in a season, where in 2020 he's set his single season record at 26. He's never thrown for more than 3,000 yards. He's hit the 2020, his best year, was the closest he ever came. But I would say he's always completed 60 to 67% of his passes. So he's definitely a higher end completer of passes, something that we didn't get to see a lot in his career, with him having a rotational of talent around him nonstop. I don't think he's had a lot of consistency, and I don't think he's had a great organization to be behind him, or even a consistent coaching staff to coach him up to get him where he should be. He's still relatively young. He's still mobile. His injuries should not affect what he does on the field regularly. This could be a huge move for the Vikings, as we all I think everyone in the media, even all these fans, can feel like the Minnesota is not that far away. We thought they were a quarterback away when they had Sam Darnold winning 14 games, and Sam went on to win a Super Bowl last year. So really, is this team a quarterback away, and is Kyler the answer, or is there so many other turning pieces we really don't know what this team's going to shape into going into next season? I think this makes them potential playoff contenders. How far this will take them, I think we have to see what this combination really can produce on the field consistently. They do have an older running back room, even though they've re-signed Aaron Jones. It's still an older running back room. They do have a stud receiver. I mean, best receiver in the game, but JSN and Puka right on his tail, and so is Jamar Chase. But in my opinion, still the best receiver in the game. And that defense, the coordinators, I mean, Kevin O'Connell calling the offense, Brian Flores running that defense. You got a perfect formula for success here. So if Kyler is really serious about resurrecting his career, this is the spot to do it. Then Kansas City brings back Travis Kelce. What does this mean for Kansas City? I think they bring him back, and they also sign Kenneth Walker for a 3-year, $45 million contract, more than they want to spend. But when you're picking 10th in the draft and the top running back is projected to go with top 5, your hands are kind of tied here. You've been trying to figure out this run game for the last couple of years. Clyde Edwards-Helaire looked good one year, didn't work. Pacheco looked good, broke his leg, has not been the same. Kareem Hunt was a good Band-Aid plan 2 years ago, but last year he's a good red zone guy, but you don't want him as your every down back. That's not what he's built for anymore. So bringing back Kelce is, I think, on a cheaper deal was smart, but also I think it still takes away from a lot of other needs. You had to trade away Trent McDuffie because you couldn't afford him. Jalen Watson's gone. Brian Cook, on your best safety, gone. Your best defensive tackles getting up there at age. No pass rushers. Still need a receiver. Rashid Rice still has some questions. So this is a team that has a lot of questions going into the offseason and not a lot of answers. I think it puts a lot of people in pause when they're ranking them because it depends on Mahomes' health a lot. Is Mahomes going to play in September? Is he going to be ready week 1? Is he going to be 90% week 1, or is he going to be 100%? Is he going to miss the first couple of games and comes in week 5, week 6, and the Chiefs fall to 0-4 and are digging themselves out of a hole? And even if they win, going a long win streak, is it enough to make a playoff push? I think they're doing everything they can to set up next season to be something, but I don't have a lot of hope for the Chiefs as of right now. I gotta see how the draft works out. I think the draft could be very favorable. They are in good position to take Spencer Fano with the 10th pick, which in my opinion, best right tackle in the draft. You're gonna throw him right on the line. He can start day 1, and then you got, hopefully later in the round, you have a late round pick where you can, someone like Omar Cooper or Denzel Boston might be there for you to pick a receiver, or even if you want to go to quarter, Jamal McCoy from Tennessee, the corner, he might be there. So you have options, or Cassius Howell, the edge rusher that I really like, he might be there at that point. So you got options of potentially getting a really good second unit, but I think focusing on that offensive line, getting your run game established and getting some help and pressure off of Mahomes and protection for Patrick Mahomes is your number one priority, and that's why you made the signing for Kenneth Walker. I think it was a little bit of money. I think, truthfully, about Kenneth Walker, even though I like him, Kenneth Walker has only gone over 1,000 yards twice in his career, and both those times, it was barely over 1,000. His first year in the league, he put up 1050, and his last year, he put up 1027. He has never surpassed more than 9 touchdowns in a season. I think my biggest issue with him is a lot of people say you're getting a receiving back too, but he's never put up more than 299 yards. So he's never hit 300 receiving yards in his career. So Kenneth Walker is really a guy that you're coming in and he's a true running back. He helps in the screen game a bit, but he's not really going to be going out wide and catching the ball as often as some of the other running backs in this league. They're like a Christian McCaffrey or even a Saquon Barkley, who's been a lot better at it in recent years. Or early in his career as well. It's just, I think what you're signing him based on, he was the best on the market and you had to bring someone in. But I do not believe that this is the game-changing signing that people think he is. He showed a lot of carries with Zach Charbonnet throughout his career. I mean, he's never surmounted more than, 228 was his most carries. That was his rookie season. Last year, he was at 221. And, I mean, yes, he had a great playoff push, and he's proven that he can be a clutch guy when it comes down the stretch of it. But also, he didn't have the wear and tear all season on him. So are the Chiefs going to get a backup running back for him to really lighten the load, or is he going to be the primary guy? And he's battled some injuries. He only played 12 games in 2024 and only 15 games in 2023 and 2022. And both those seasons were 17-game seasons. So it's really, it does offer some concern, but I truthfully think that this is good for Kenneth Walker. I don't know if this is great for the Chiefs. They filled a need. Congrats to them. They get to enter the draft feeling a little more comfortable, knowing that they can take the guy they want at 10 instead of a guy they need. They can take a tackle like I think they wanted to, not feel almost pushed to take a running back because you know that needed to be addressed. So now I'm going to go down and go through the AFC North, the NFC North, and the AFC East, three divisions I've already covered, and kind of give a rundown on what we've been looking at with what they've added to their team. So, first and foremost, the Bills. The Bills, as we have talked about, traded for DJ Moore, has got a certified number one. Great element in their passing game, much needed. They also bring in Bradley Chubb and CJ Gardner-Johnson, both on their defense. I think that is brilliant veteran presence. Bradley Chubb was relatively cheap. He's going to complement the edge very well. I think that was a really interesting pickup. I was hoping the Ravens go get him for cheap and pair him up with Hendrickson, or when I thought we were getting Crosby, with Crosby. And then on the flip side, they got CJ Gardner-Johnson, which I think is just a consistent hard player. You want him on your team. You know he's going to give you everything he's got. He's a good motivator. He really loves the people that he plays with. He fights for his team. He represents organizations okay. He represents the players on the field very well. And that's something you can really hold your hat on. You know he's going to go to battle for the guys to the left and right of him. As in the Dolphins, they signed Malik Willis on a 3-year, $67.5 million contract. I think that's a great contract. For what Malik Willis has shown you, he's athletic, he's smart, he makes good throws, he can make all the throws, he's got a big arm. He's a lot more impressive than we thought when he was with the Tennessee Titans, and he's got a really nice deal, but he's coming into a rough system. They went out and signed Tutu Atwell. They got edge rusher Josh Uche, and then they got defensive back Lonnie Johnson. So they have a lot of overall great elements to their team, but I think the game breaking of the team is getting Malik Willis and really establishing where you're going from here on out. They moved on from Tua, who's been their quarterback for the last since they drafted him, and even when there was drafted him, it was a battle between him and Fitzpatrick for most of his early career. So they really have committed to Tua and did everything they can to commit to Tua. I think turning to a new guy, give him a new opportunity, but he's walking into a rough system. This roster has been broken down, tore down. They're down receivers, linemen, defense. Coaching staff is a first-time head coach. I like Halfley, though. I don't know if he's the best of the bunch, but he is coming from Green Bay. The GM there they also worked in the Packers front office, so they both got to see Malik Willis firsthand. I would say that bodes well for Malik Willis, and I think that bodes well for this franchise, that even if he struggles this year, that they're committed to him on that 3-year deal. It's not just a 3-year deal where you feel like, okay, in a year, if it doesn't work, we'll move past. I think it's a deal where they're going to truly give him 3 years to try to get his footing, and maybe after 2 years, give him an extension if he's really been able to do something great with this team. Next, I got with the Patriots. They signed offensive lineman Elijah Vera Tucker, which really helped blocking up front. He's a great guard. He can slot in for tackles if they get hurt. But honestly, guard is where he would play. They also brought in Romeo Doubs. Controversial. He's wearing 87. I don't quite approve of that because I think Gronk is one of the greatest tight ends of all time. So giving away his numbers was kind of iffy. But hopefully Doubs as well there. I mean, with Doubs, Keyshawn Boutte, and Pop Douglas there with Kyle Williams, and for the thought of possibly getting A.J. Brown, this could be a serious receiving core. I really like what they're doing here. I've always been a big fan of the Patriots and the decisions they've made last year and did this year. I think they're a team that can be an immediate threat next year in the playoffs. They also signed Draymond Jones for 3 years, $39.5 million contract. He was in Tennessee and then traded to Baltimore last season. Honestly, he was our best pass rusher, but I still didn't love him on our team. I'm okay with not paying him, but I think it's a big move for the Patriots because they really needed a good pass rusher, and you're putting him on a Mike Vrabel defense. I think it's going to really benefit him as well, so his numbers are going to look better, and the sack numbers are going to look better. Plus, they picked up Kevin Byard, who led the league in interceptions last year for the Chicago Bears. I think that's a huge hit to the Chicago Bears defensive back room, but I think it's a huge benefit for the Patriots defensive back room. Next, Jets traded for Geno Smith and traded Justin Fields away to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I don't know what that means for the Kansas City Chiefs, but if Mahomes don't start the first few games, you can go to battle with him for a couple games before Mahomes gets back. In this case, I think the Jets are they're trying to figure it out. They got Geno Smith. Will they take Ty Simpson in the second or third round? I think that's the biggest question. Are they tanking? I think they still have a quarterback issue. I like a lot of the picks they made, a lot of the defensive decisions, but I think they've made a lot of decisions defensively, like they were a team there. I think the veteran players they signed, they didn't need to sign. I think they should have just stuck with young talent and really accumulated as many picks as they could and just went heavy on the draft and then retain some cap space and go long term. Your franchise tag Breece Hall, which I disagree with. You should get a receiver to pair up with Garrett Wilson, whether that's Jordan Tyson if he comes to you, or Mekhi Lemon if you can get him. If the Rams don't take him, you got options there. But you got to pair someone up with Garrett Wilson and give whoever's quarterbacking for this team an actual chance. Then we got the Ravens. The shady deal. I do want to address this. I think it was a little murky. We didn't break no rules. The organization did what they were supposed to do. But at the end of the day, it was a little shady. I did not like the optics of it, but I'm not upset with the outcome. Now, what I do love is we signed Chidobe Awuzie. He was our second best corner on our team last year. Nate was the best. He was the second. It went viral when he fell down and let up a huge touchdown last year at the end of the season. But truthfully, that was his one glaringly bad moment, but that's it. He had so many good moments through the league. I really enjoyed. He was a better asset to the team than I really thought he would be. And we also signed Jalen Hawkins, safety, which is he's been around the league. He's played for the Eagles, played for the Patriots. He's just been around the league. He's a good rotational safety. We like to play a 3-safety front, and with a Darius Washington leaving, having Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks, and then now Jalen Hawkins on that defense, I think that's a solid move. I think it's a smart move, and I think it keeps that rotational safety look we're going for. We still have to bolster up the depth at cornerback, but overall, I like those moves. Then the Bengals, they signed Josh Johnson to be backup quarterback. He's been around the league. This is another stint for him. He's been on more teams than we all can count. This is, I think, his third stint with the Bengals. Good for him. They also signed Orlando Brown, their offensive tackle, to a 2-year extension. They signed Boe Maffei to a 3-year, $60 million contract. He was one of the better pass rushers for the Seattle Seahawks, who just won the Super Bowl. So that's a huge pickup. They signed Jonathan Allen to a 2-year, $26 million for that D-line. So it gives them some little more pressure up front. I think really improves this defense. And they signed safety Brian Cook for a 3-year, $40.25 million contract. That's huge. So now they've got a great safety. They've got an impressive defensive lineman and a really good pass rusher. This defense immediately got better name value from before free agency to now. Well, will all that play out? We will see. They don't have their best defensive player anymore in Trey Hendrickson. So one of these guys really need to step up and really take a hold of that. Then the Browns, they traded for Titus Howard. They gained in that trade with the Texans, really bolstered up the line. They signed a lot of different linemen, but the most notable was Tevin Jenkins re-signed and Zion Johnson from the Chargers, who struggled a lot last year. Whether they signed him for depth or to start, I don't think he's a bad guard. I don't think he would be on the Chargers if he was, but I also think if he was better, he would have got re-signed there. They also re-signed offensive lineman Elton Jenkins. I think their biggest issue was almost the whole offensive line was up for contract this season, so trying to retain as much as they could to help protect potentially franchise star Shedeur Sanders, depending on how the direction of this team goes. Was huge. They also signed Quincy Williams, linebacker, 2 years for $13 million. I think this was a brilliant pickup. He's such an underrated move. You already got Carson Schwarzenegger, which is coming off of a Defensive Rookie of the Year season. You have Myles Garrett, who's coming off of Defensive Player of the Year season. Kuramoa, who won't be returning most likely to football. This is a good linebacker to have in his place. Now you have a 2-linebacker set. You have a pretty solid defensive back room. This is a defense that can be competitive. If you can figure out Shedeur Sanders in this offense, this is a team that really can make some noise. I don't think they're a great team in the league, but I think they're a team that can definitely do something. Sorry. Then we got the Steelers. Running back Rico Dowd signed a 2-year, $12.5 million contract. Will this solve the running issues they've had? I don't know. This is a team that has been struggling to get a consistent run game ever since Le'Veon Bell left. And it's been Jalen Warren. It's been Kenneth Gainwell. It's been, they drafted a rookie a season ago, and he never amounted to anything. I mean, they're just constantly trying to figure out, well, James Conner was there. They're trying to figure out who was going to replace Bell, and they still haven't. Dowd showed a lot of promise in his couple game, in what was a 4-game stretch with the Panthers. But we also saw him on the Cowboys not be as relevant. So it's really, it'll come down to how great can he be running a 17-game season. Linebacker Cole Holcomb re-signed for a 2-year, $5 million. Nice, cheap player. Jamil Dean, which is one of the best corners off in free agency, 3 years, $36.75 million. That's, I think, brilliant. You got Jalen Ramsey, who's moved to safety, who will now be paired up with Jaquan Brisker, who signed a 1-year deal, who was a really great safety for the Bears this last season. Their second best turnover machine over there. And then you also signed cornerback Asante Samuel for a 1-year, $4 million. And safety Darnell Savage for a 1-year deal. So you got Jalen Ramsey, Darnell Savage, and Jaquan Brisker as your 3 safeties. They rotate very, very much in and out. And then you got Jamil Dean, Asante Samuel, and Joey Porter as your certified 3 corners. I think the Steelers have done a great job this offseason. Hell, I think they've done one of the better jobs this offseason. Their biggest issue right now is Aaron Rodgers coming back or not. Because this all could be for naught. I mean, they traded for Michael Pittman and has immediately improved the receiving room. They immediately have improved the back end of their defense. I think they still need get a guy or 2 up front. Maybe they could bring in a defensive lineman. I think they get a lot of options coming the draft time now where they can take more of the best player available and they don't have to have a specific position they need to take. But they've set themselves up very nicely. All that we're waiting to see is Aaron Rodgers going to be there this year, or are they going to rock with Will Howard? I'm not saying Will Howard's a bad option. I'm just saying that's not the confident option that I think Mike McCarthy or any Steelers fans are looking forward to at the moment. Next, we got the Bears, who they signed Khalif Raymond, who was a receiver for Ben Johnson when he was in Detroit as the offense coordinator. They got linebacker Devin Bush to replace Tremaine Edmonds. I think that's a perfect transitional piece. They play pretty similarly. Neither of them are all-star linebackers, but both play with a lot of passion, a lot of competitiveness, really good tacklers. And then they signed safety Kobe Bryant to a 3-year, $40 million deal, and he's just a really solid safety. So really good. I think he's a good replacement for Jaquan Brisker, but I think it's going to be hard to produce the amount of production Bayard showed last year. And then the Lions' biggest move is they signed running back Isaiah Pacheco to, it looks like the league minimum. It was a small deal, but this is huge. You still get your power back, even though David Montgomery's not there. You still get your power back in Pacheco. He runs a little more like Montgomery. I don't think he's a little younger too. I think it's a great move. I think Pacheco really wasn't getting a fair shake after his leg injury. He really didn't come back well last year, but he'll be almost 2 years removed from that. He's not going to have to be the primary back here. Gibbs is guaranteed the primary back. This is a good job for the Lions. I think they really they lost a piece to a trade, which I thought was reasonable for the Lions. I even said that when the trade happened. And I think they gained a really reasonable piece as well. As for the Packers, they bring back wide receiver Sky Moore, which I think is a good depth piece on the receiving core. They got defensive line Javon Hargrave after trading away 2 of their defensive tackles. One to, they traded just since last all season, 2 to Dallas and 1 somewhere else. I'm drawing a blank right now. And then the Vikings, and also before I moved on, they also got a linebacker Zaire Franklin acquired in a trade, which I think will immediately bolster up that linebacker room. I mean, overnight, he's just a hell of a player. Led the league in tackles just a couple years ago. So this is definitely a worthwhile pickup. Then the Vikings, like I said, they got Kyler. They re-signed Aaron Jones, and Eric Wilson re-signed. I think the Vikings are very happy with where they're moving in the direction they're going. As for now, let's get into the next team I want to talk about, and that is the AFC South. First, we're going to start with the Texans. They traded for David Montgomery, re-signed Dalton Schultz, re-signed Trent Brown, who was arguably their best lineman last year. They brought in Sheldon Rankins, great defensive line, re-signed Danielle Hunter, brought in Kaimi Fairbairn, re-signed him, and then also picked up Reed Blankenship to help bolster down that safety position, who was phenomenal for the Eagles. I think the real question for the Texans is, where are they going forward from this? They have in the first round, they have to pick up, I think, a defensive lineman, bolster up and just strengthen up the rotation up front. And I think with Stroud, you got your receivers. You got Nico Collins, you got Jaden Higgins. You traded for Montgomery, so you got Montgomery and you got Woody Marks. You got Dalton Schultz. So you re-signed him. You got your tight end. They're trying to fix that offensive line. I think truthfully, what you need to do is protect C.J. Stroud and see, is C.J. Stroud going to bounce back and be the guy we saw his rookie season, or is he actually the guy we've seen the last 2 years? In my opinion, I think C.J. Stroud is I think further away from his rookie season, not just in time but in talent. Sadly, I don't think he's the guy that he was, but doesn't mean he can't get back there. And I think with some good coaching this season, if he can really get back on track, Texans team could be one of the best teams in the NFL. But you have to start with the quarterback. He will decide everything for this team moving forward. Next, we got Daniel Jones, who is with the Colts. Sorry, the Colts, they bringing in Daniel Jones again. What does that mean for this team moving forward? Well, they let Pittman go to the Steelers. I think they'd like the receiving core out even with him or without him. They re-signed Alec Pierce, clearly showing that they believed more in him over Pittman. They brought in Colby Wooden. That's who the defense tackle Green Bay sent them, while trading away Zaire. So they now have a need at linebacker. They trade away arguably their best linebacker for a defensive tackle and to re-sign, I'm assuming, to reallocate funds to re-sign Alec Pierce. But you've lost two valuable pieces, one to your offense and one to your defense. So those are two things you have to immediately replace. Hopefully, come draft time, they can make some smart moves and really get something going so they can be a competitive team moving forward like they were last year. Maybe if Daniel Jones come back and be healthy, this team can be a real threat again next year and not fizzle out at the end of the season. Then the Jaguars. They lost Travis Etienne. And honestly, that was the biggest move I saw this offseason. I don't think they made any splash free agency pickups. They lost a lot of other players, but that was their biggest loss. He had the breakout season last year, and Etienne's been a consistent guy for them anyway. He's more than earned his way out to go sign a contract and be a starter somewhere else. I really like Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne. Sorry, he came out with a video. It's Travis Etienne. So Travis Etienne has been one of the bright spots on the Jaguars team, even before Liam Cohen got there. Now, without him being there, is the first time in a long time him and Trevor won't be in the backfield together. I think this is a lot of issues long-term on the psyche maybe of your quarterback, but also on this team. If they can't produce a consistent run game, I think this team could easily fall apart fast. And then next, the Titans. They signed backup Mitch Trubisky, which I think is great for adding depth to the quarterback room. They brought in Wan'Dale Robinson, Jermaine Johnson, John Franklin Myers, defensive line, cornerback Alontae Taylor, all solid moves. Most likely they're taking Jeremiah Love at pick 4. It's a tightly contested division. None of these teams are perfect, but the Titans have the most upside, I think, coming into this season. I think the biggest thing is we can all visually see what Cam Ward's got. They're finally he's got a competent head coach. He's got a very, very competent, good resume offense coordinator who's helped Josh Allen look really good, who gave Daniel Jones one of his best seasons. This is really, I think, a better coaching staff than he had last year. I think he's got a better receiving core immediately with Wan'Dale Robinson proving he can be a consistent possession catch guy and a difference maker on an offense. He proved it last year with the Giants when Malik Neighbors got hurt, and I think he's going to prove it again with the Titans. And Ward had really good connection with his two rookie receivers that were there. And then they brought in and boasted up pieces all over the defense, which I think was brilliant because it's a team that lacked a lot of name value and a lot of depth in all positions. I think they've gained a lot of depth and they've got a lot of promise going forward, where I think actually this season they have a better shot competing for the division than they have in past seasons. But that was my quick division breakdown. That was a little pickup of free agency. And now let's get into the meat of it. The prospects, my next 10 prospects, this will make it 50 total. Truth being told, I'm still learning about a lot of these players. I'm still watching a lot of film. And I'm doing a mock draft almost every day to try to really piece together where I want to go with it. But a lot of these guys I'm talking about here may not even go in the first round. And if they do, it would be late in the first round. So this is more so projection, just to give a general rundown of other players that could be potentially show up big. I mean, guys like Puka Nacua and George Kittle were 5th-round picks. Brock Purdy was a 7th-round pick. Isaiah Pacheco was a 7th-round pick. Jalen Hurts was I believe a 3rd or 4th-round pick. Same with Russell Wilson. Like, all these guys have been drafted in all these different positions. Doesn't mean jack, because once you come to the NFL, if you got the stuff, you got the stuff. So it's going to start with Emmanuel Pregon, guard out of Oregon. I like him. He's an extremely powerful, low body, strong in run blocking, hands. It's hard to move off his footing, so he's really firm in his stance. He's high on board for any rush team. Any team that wants to establish the run, he's perfect for. So if the Lions are waiting for the 2nd round and don't draft the guard in the 1st, this could be a good guy for them. The Ravens, if we want to draft the guard, this would be a good guard for us. This would be a guy I think would really come in and really establish the run quick. And he could start, I think, day one at guard, left or right guard. He's not very laterally quick, so I think more of a power run scheme would benefit him more. Hopefully we're changing our mindset. I think we ran too much on the outside with Monken. I'd rather us run up the middle. We have a power back. We should utilize it. He's a better blocker at the line than a lead blocker down the field, so he's more of a big frame protector, help you get past that first line, but he's not going to be the one running down the field with your running back, and that's okay. I think if he can just be a solid anchor on the line, that's great. He's got a lot of Quentin Nelson-esque play style, so heavy on the run with a good pass protector. Quentin Nelson became a very elite in both. Maybe this guy has that elite upside as well. Next, we got Chris Bell, wide receiver, Louisville. He's 6'2", 210 pounds roughly, outside possession receiver. He's definitely going to be a later round pick just based on, I think, honestly, he's just not that quick. His yak ability is kind of lacking, and he could be a little more consistent. But he's got a strong frame with good length. He's got a really nice catch radius. He's a red zone threat, successful in quick fades and jump balls. His blocking effort is very high. He's really good for like run first teams like the Niners or the Rams, who really value a receiver that's willing to go block. This is a guy that could get drafted. Like I said, I think in the 2nd or 3rd, based on that ability alone, is you can bring him in as your 4th receiver, and he's going to give just as much effort as if he was being brought in as your number 1. He is more of an Allen Lazard, Devontae Parker style type, where he's really more of a true outside number 4, where he's not going to play the whole game, but if your guy gets injured, you can throw him out there. You can rely on him. Next is R. Mason Thomas. He's an edge rusher from Oklahoma, 6'2" and roughly 245 pounds. Little undersized for the traditional 4-3 defender. Probably he's going to rush more in a 3-4 kind of package scheme, more of an outside linebacker scheme. He's a first step explosive, quick off the snap. He stresses tackles with his speed. That's what he's known for. He's not known for being powerful. He's known for being fast. He's got relentless effort, great closing speed. He's honestly a solid tackler. He's not particularly great against the run, and maybe he relies on his speed too much since he's not really much of a power pass rusher. Bryce Huff is more of his comp based on his situational pressures. He's a guy that you're not going to put out there against the biggest fast tackles in the league, but against some of the more average sized tackles that aren't as quick off the line. This is someone you really want to match him up against. Honestly, based on what his play style, I think it's going to be really hard for a lot of teams to draft him early. I think he's going to be more of a mid-round pick. I think he's a solid edge rusher, but I don't think he's going to blow anyone away. I think if he can get a little stronger, get a little more power behind him, it might help him. But we'll see how much of a quick edge rusher he can become. I mean, a lot of guys have been able to do it in this league. I mean, guys like Hassan Reddick has been really good at doing stuff like that, becoming more of a quick edge rusher, not relying on power as much. Next, we got Anthony Hill, Jr., linebacker, Texas, 6'3", 235 pounds, solid frame. He's an off-ball linebacker, hybrid defender. A lot of people say he could go round 1, but he most likely will fall based on value and team needs. Like, a lot of teams don't need a stud linebacker, and the top half of the linebacker is pretty heavy with Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles and C.J. Allen. Like, you got a really heavy top end on the linebacker frame, but he's someone that I think I really like everything I saw from him. He's an elite athlete, dangerous blitzer from all different alignments. He can run anywhere up on the front 7. He's sideline to sideline ability is insane. I think, man, It's just what I put here is he's got like a Michael Parsons play style with the Devin White side and sideline ability. It honestly is. He's someone that can come in and I think would really change a linebacking room. And this is someone like the Colts could target and really replace Zaire Franklin, I think, perfectly. Next, I got Omar Cooper Jr., the wide receiver from Indiana. I've talked about him here and there for the Raiders. I've told a lot of people I think if the Raiders dropped a receiver in the second round, this would be the guy. But I think he has first round upside. He's a vertical threat, a deep threat ability. He really has, he's explosive. He can track the ball very well. Something that you could see him bring in as be a punt returner or kick returner on a team based on his ability to track the ball. He's got quick acceleration. He's competitive catch. The biggest issue is he's got kind of a limited route tree. His production can be kind of streaky. He could be a little bigger, so against more physical matchups, I mean, just honestly adding some of that NFL grown man weight might really help. His effort in blocking is great, but he's not a very skilled blocker. You wouldn't bring him in to be the fourth guy blocking. You'd bring him in to be your like wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 to just kind of go up and get open. And that's more of an MVS, Christian Watson kind of style, vertical deep playmaking threat. I like him. I think the Raiders are going to go after him pretty heavy if they can get him out of the draft. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Raiders, if they see the possibility of trading into the late first or just taking him with the early pick in the second. I really see that's kind of where him going. He's going just because of Mendoza going there. Then we got Gabe Jackas, edge from Illinois, 6'3", about almost 270. Plays every snap with relentless effort. He's got a pass rush motor that is unmatched. Strong edge setter against the run. Converts speed to power almost very effectively. Reliable tackler, but he's not elite off the first step. He's not the best athlete, and he's more rotational depth. I think he's a guy that could come in. He's got that Sam Hubbard kind of motor where he's going to give 100 every play. The thing is, he's just not going to be the best edge on your team. He's going to be a guy that's going to come in, make his presence felt, and then probably go back on the sidelines. And that's nothing wrong with that. You need people like that in this league. You need people to give the elite guys a break and to come in and kind of just do their thing and add value to the team and be just an overall good football player where it doesn't feel like he's not the weakness on your team. It's just he's not your best piece. They also got A.J. Hauncey, safety from LSU. 6 foot, 200 pounds. He's more of a free safety, nickel kind of hybrid kind of role. So he can play in the slot, or he can like nickel, or he can play free safety, strong safety, wherever you want to be able to put him at. He's got great coverage range, high football instincts, anticipates route concepts well. He's versatile in alignment, so he, like I said, he can line up anywhere, so he can fit into almost any defensive scheme. He's not super physical, but he will tackle. He's just not a hard tackler. You don't see it. He's not going to force a lot of fumbles, but he'll get his guy, but he may be occasional on a miss. He's occasionally takes poor pursuit angles. He's got a lot of C.J. Gardner-Johnson type of versatility and just being able to just be an overall solid defensive back. Next, we got Eli Stowers, tight end, Vanderbilt. Truth is, 6'4", 234 pounds. I see him falling to the second, maybe the third, he's going to be the second tight end off the board. He was actually originally recruited as a quarterback and turned into a tight end, which I think bodes well for him. It means he's a little more higher football IQ than most coming out of the draft to this stage, as he understands the field like a quarterback and also now as a tight end. He's more of a pass catcher, so he's not really a 3-down tight end. You're not going to put him in a lot of blocking schemes. And I think that's the biggest issue why he is second on the list compared to Sadiq, Sadiq is an elite pass catcher while also has been proven to be an efficient blocker as well. He's more of got that Evan Ingram, Isaiah Likely competition where he's big, he's athletic, but he's just not the run game. You can teach him how to block, I think, better at the NFL level, but it's not a skill set he brings in at a high level. Next, we got Max, I want to say Iheanaker. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. Might be wrong. I've heard it a few times, still trying to get the pronunciation right. He's a tackle from Arizona State. This boy's 6'6", almost 335 pounds, and he's a large right tackle, a big guard as well. He's got a massive frame, excellent play strength. He generates strong push to the line, moves defenders backwards very effectively. So he's going to be he's going to be a guy that's really going to be great in establishing an offensive line. You throw him. He's a guy that I think will fall because it's such a great offensive line draft. But I think whoever ends up with him is ending up with a really solid tackle on their line. He's known as an anchor. He's in pass protection. He enjoys using his size and his advantage. His lateral quickness could be a little better. He could improve his footwork a little better. Sometimes he plays a little upright, which honestly, and his conditioning could improve. But I think a lot of this stuff will come with just being at the NFL level and him just learning and training. He's got really a Mekhi Becton, big frame, but a better guard than tackler. Like I said, he's a guy that come in and has a lot of upside to be your starting right tackle. But if in a year he's really not getting the production you want out of him, switching him to guard, I think he could still excel as a guard in this league. Would not be surprised if the Ravens look at him late in the second or the third to pick him up and bring him in and replace Falalele at our guard spot. Then lastly of this grouping, we got Keontae Scott, cornerback, Miami. 5'11", 185 pounds roughly. He's got short area quickness, matches well underneath with quick receivers. He's competitive, high value on special teams, undersized in most aspects, not elite vertically. He's not the most technically sound. He's got more of a Teron Johnson comparison. He's instinctive nickel. He will play slot corner and nickel most likely. He's not going to be an outside corner. He reminds me a lot of Ladarius Webb, if I'm being honest with you off film. We play Ladarius Webb on the outside, but he probably was better in the slot. I think this would be the same with this guy. Like I said, I don't dislike Keontae Scott. I just think he's kind of small. He's kind of undersized. I think in this league, a lot of big corners are really going to match up against him well. That would be my biggest concern with him. I think he's going to be drafted later, but I think he could be a great rotational piece in the league. But I think with him being so undersized at a position where he really can only play, he's only going to play the inside. It's going to be, he's really got to make his money there, and he's really got to excel compared to the rest of the people, in the defensive back room. So there we go. We talked about some divisions. We talked about some prospects. I hope everyone is having a great rest of your day. Enjoy yourself. Thank you with letting me be part of your day. The move is set, by the way. I know I've been bringing it up. We have set the date, a move-in date and everything. So I don't know about that week of the podcast. I'm going to try to record, put something out there. But if not, I'm going to clip up some things so at least some content's coming out, even if it's just repeating content. And we are still working on that football 101. I'm working it up. Probably going to drop the first video after the draft, which I think will be really exciting. So everyone just stay tuned. Thank you for being part of everything, and hope we can keep growing together. And once again, thank you all.